Hi, hello, and welcome back to my podcast. Now, what was I talking about? My name is V Noir, and this week I'm celebrating a 1 year anniversary of doing this podcast. I can't believe it. Woo! Cheer, cheer. Pew, 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 pew. Um, and it's been kind of chaotic with me doing three classes and also working close to full time because I work 4 days a week, while also doing these classes. And I'm tired. um, yeah, pretty tired. But I was like, if I have to make time to do an episode this week because it is the 1 year anniversary of this podcast, and I I don't know. I mean, I started it because I was trying to be like a YouTube videographer, not videographer, but like video essayist, like doing these I don't know, deep discussions about film, cinema, or whatever. And I was like, that's just not my vibe. I don't do that. I do have one YouTube-ish video where I like try to find the history, or not the history, but I look into what happened to this brand called Victorian Trading Co. Because I had ordered something from them and then it never showed up, and then it turned out that the company went under, and I was like, what happened? And I don't think anybody knows what happened. Thankfully, um it was more along the lines of like the company got bought by someone else, and then that other person still using Melissa's face because it's like um I said Melissa as if she's my friend, but I can't remember her whole name. But either way, still using the same branding and stuff that was previously used. So even if you did buy something from them during that time, you would probably blame her because she was still the face of it, even though she no longer owned it. Either way, that's all to say that they now run a company called Hopeless Romantic, which is what they were originally called before changing it to Victorian Trading Co. But that's like my one investigative. I'm also like, let me double check that Hopeless Romantic is still uh, a website. Hopeless Romantic Trading. Yes, that is that is still them. They do still exist. Phew. Um, and I'm glad too because people have been finding it and finding the video, because they also, like me, were like, what the hell happened to this company? Because you would get their catalogs in the mail, and that was always really fun. It's all this like vintage inspired uh homeware and clothing, and I don't know how I found them, but I probably just found them online somewhere because I was like, I want to find this vintage looking stuff, but I don't want it to just be some shit from Amazon. I want it to be like as close to authentic without having to pay a crazy amount. Not that the stuff on here is cheap. It's definitely not cheap, but it's at least um more, I don't know, it's like stuff that'll last a while too. And they have sales and stuff. I'm looking at the Hopeless Romantic website and I'm like, still everything looks cute. I know they're needing to find their old vendors again and stuff, and like create newer relationships with people. So I'm like, oh, that's just so rough. And then I think because it's like a kind of family run thing, like Melissa's like the oldest daughter, and like her other sister, Julie, was also part of it. And it's cool too if you go to that video on my channel, on my YouTube channel that also hosts my podcast. Uh, you will actually see both of them interact with the video because apparently a customer of theirs had told them that they found out about Hopeless Romantic through my video. And you'll get more like insider stuff. I'm like, that was also something I did last year, and then they recently responded, I think a few months ago, and I feel like I haven't actually brought that up. And I was like, well, I mean, this is the reason I made this video because I was like, I love this brand. I love getting the catalogs, even though I wasn't like completely shopping from them all the time. I've bought a few things from them, but it's still just like I can't believe it. I can't believe they both responded. Both sisters responded. And yeah. Anyway, already started with a tangent, but yeah, celebrating a year with this podcast. I can't believe it. But yeah, I'm like, year with this podcast. Uh, and yeah, I was just realizing like I don't necessarily want to be a video essayist. That's not really my jam. I do like to ramble and just talk the shit. And another thing too was like I felt like I was um centering myself because algorithm or whatever, and I'm like, you don't have to do that for a podcast. You have to do that maybe to promote podcasts or be selective of what you say or whatever. But I'm like, I don't want to fucking censor myself for an algorithm. I don't want to be less of myself for an algorithm and to appease it or whatever. Appease it. Appease? Appease, bleh. Anyway. And I'm like, I'm not about to say grape instead of rape. I'm not gonna say uh uh whatever other fucking TikTok shit. I'm gonna say my stuff. And it's like there there's almost this level of infantilization that happens because we're not using the proper terms, and we've been doing that for so long that when you are talking about those topics but you're using not the words, it just doesn't feel as serious if you would have just used the word, you know? Like, just use the stuff. I'm like, we shouldn't be doing this. We should be the ones in control of the algorithm, not the other way around. Like, we shouldn't allow ourselves to be controlled by the machine. Especially with like the rise of fascism and everything like that. It's like, this is how this shit, it's like they keep pushing things and seeing how far they can push and seeing how comfortable we get with things, I mean, and it's like what's happening with Jimmy Kimmel right now. Like he said a very tame thing about Donald Trump's response to Charlie Kirk, and even just showed a clip of Donald Trump, and they fucking pulled his show indefinitely. Like, I mean, unless there's something different that came out, that's the last thing I heard. So anyway, so those are the two things. It's like I didn't want to censor myself. I did want to yap, and I love talking about movies. And oh, I just like heard people, and I was like, "What? Are people in my home?" No, they're outside being loud, is what they're doing because it's Friday night, and I'm inside recording a podcast. Oh my gosh! But yeah, that's the spiel. That's why I created this. Wanted to yap. And I wanted to like just talk about random things related to movies and stuff. I it's like sure I'll have critiques about movies, but typically I seek out stuff that I know I'm going to enjoy. If I do watch something intentionally bad, it's probably because I want to make fun of it. Like that's kind of it. Like me and my roommate have been watching Tubi movies, and wow. A lot of them are bad, and I'm gonna make a mini-sode that's just me talking about Tubi movies because I want to continue my talking about horror movies leading up to October. And to pivot to that, this week I'm talking about the movie Fear. It is it's a 1996 movie starring Reese Witherspoon and Mark Wahlberg. And this is like Marky Mark days when he was um a model, a rapper, and like if the youngins know how Mark Wahlberg used to roll, I'm like he has such a dad vibe now. Because he's just an older man. But but it's like he was clean shaven, really attractive, I guess. I'm saying I guess. Really attractive. Oh my god. Let me not clip. Really attractive. I remember these Calvin Klein ads that he did. Again, he was called Marky Mark. What a weird time in the 90s. And let's just get into the synopsis, honestly. So basically, when Nicole met handsome, charming, affectionate David, this is Mark Wahlberg, he was everything. It seemed perfect, but soon she sees that David has a darker side, and his adoration turns to obsession, their dream into a nightmare, and her love into fear. I'm like, oh, what a great way to do the title, eh? Hear myself as well. Um, yeah, it's turned me up. Oh, maybe? I don't know, actually. Oh, here we go. Potentially. There we go. I think. Like hard to tell if there's any difference. And like it definitely um sounds differently, but I don't know if you can tell a difference. But oh, I'm very low. I'm very low. Um and I accidentally muted myself, but here we go. This is oh yeah, okay. I had to just overextend it. I'm trying to make sure I'm comfortable though. I'm going to delete all of this when I edit it. So anyway, so we kind of start off the movie with Nicole, again played by Reese Witherspoon. I also have to call her Drew Barrymore, only because me and my roommate, well, my roommate more so was watching Never Been Kissed and um yesterday, and then I think her name was just in my head because she also has like this masculine sounding first name. Um, God, I'm like, I have to figure out how to perfectly be on this mic. Oh my gosh, I feel like that wasn't an issue before. Now I feel like it is. Let me play around with it. Yeah, I don't know. Wait, that I am so confused. Okay. I am very confused, but I think I just need to figure it out. Um, this seems to be okay because I'm like, I'm looking at the levels, and I think I also might just need to talk louder, maybe. I don't know. I don't know, man. Anyway, I remember watching this originally when I was much younger, because my cousin had it on DVD, but she didn't take the DVDs with her because she had that and like she left it with us. It was like that and like the first season of Friends. So it was one of those things that me and my younger brother, it was just like a collection of media to watch whenever like our cable was down or something. Um which is kind of fun. It's like, oh, let's not be on our TV all the time. Let's do this. And not that not that Fear was like a movie for kids. It's definitely not. There is literally like a sex scene. Sh- it's she gets fingered on like a roller coaster by him. It's I'm like that's not really appropriate for kids to watch, but yeah, this movie is kind of wild because it's like um because yeah, she's like a teenager. Her You can tell she's from a rich family. She seems like she's sort of goody shoes in a way. But she dresses a little differently when she's at school. Her bestie is Margot, played by Alyssa Million, which is like, whoa, you're in this movie. That's crazy. And Margot is definitely more like, um, not like a bad girl, but like rebellious, I guess. The more rebellious friend, and then they have this guy friend named Gary, who's played by Todd Caldecott. Man, what happens to him later? Ooh, okay. FYI, there's a dog in this movie, and the dog does indeed die. So if you planned on watching this movie for any reason, the dog dies. The dog dies. And it's really fucked up that it happens. So yeah, yes. And a person dies as well. And there is okay, I'm realizing that as I'm saying it, I'm realizing that I need to have like a content warning at the beginning for movies, especially when I start talking about them. I mean, I think the not the only other one, but like the other one that had way more of like a trigger warning towards it. Even the movie itself put the trigger warning on Amazon was Blink Twice. And I was like really appreciative of that. I'm like, that's really cool that they did that. Um, Especially because the subject matter had to do with like sexual assault and lapse in memory through of those events too. So it's like, yeah, that's pretty heavy. But yes, there is a dog in this movie and it will die and it's fucked up. Um, but how do we get there? How do we get there? So yes, so Nicole. Oh, okay. I was like reading the reception. I was like, this didn't take place in San Francisco. No, someone from the San Francisco Chronicle wrote a review of it. That makes more sense. Oh, it's based in Seattle, actually. Anyway, so Nicole is kind of going through some stuff. Her dad remarried a younger woman, like, seems significantly, well, I would say significantly younger in that she feels like she could be closer to age to Nicole rather than to Nicole's dad, Stephen, played by William Peterson. The stepmom's name is Laura Walker, and she's played by Amy Brenneman. There's also a there's also a younger brother who's actually Laura's son. His name is Toby in this. He's played by Christopher Gray. Oh, and this movie was directed by James Foley. I'm like, let's make sure to credit people. We got all these credits. It was written by Christopher Craw. Oh, I see what happened. I like started on writing these notes and didn't finish them because I would usually write down the writer and then also what else he might have written on to sort of give a general idea of I guess the style or just in general like oh I appreciated this other thing I don't, what was, that's a weird sound that came from like my throat. I don't know. But looking at his filmology, he's mostly done, he did some movies, but he's mostly worked in television and he's done TV movies. I mean, he wrote the hell out of Fear though, because man, oh man. Oh my God, now I feel like I'm hyping it up. But okay. To get back into it, so Nicole, her dad newly married. The new stepmom is like kind of younger, and they're not really getting along. She is blasé about her new brother as well. The brother has the dog. Oh, that poor dog. Oh wait, does it? Let me look if the dog has a credit. I'm like, he should. It's a working doggo. I do not see. Oh, well, let me check IMDb. Kind of sad, but the dog does not have a credit. So I guess it's not a famous working doggo or something. I don't know. And like usually the dogs or the animals, usually the dogs in movies have some sort of credit, or at least the animal handler would have a credit. But I don't see either. I'm also like trying to skim through transportation, additional crew, maybe. Okay, there's like a animals actor supplied by Bonnie Judd credit, animal trainer Debbie Coe. Yeah, I don't. I like they named the trainer the who supplied the animal or animals. I don't. The dog is very significant, but I don't necessarily remember any other animals. Like I guess they could have easily been like, and we got a hawk guy and a pigeon guy because they want birds in a scene or something. Um, I'm definitely in the preference of just timing stuff so that things can just show up more naturally, or for it to look more realistic, I guess. Not that you can't just. I mean, to be a pigeon handler would be sick as fuck. But either way, and I'm like, I remember, I don't even know what they were filming, but when I was living in San Francisco, I was walking down somewhere and just some random street, alley or whatever, or I was walking by an alley and there was a guy. He was literally a pigeon handler and he was like, he would release them and then they would come back and I would see him pick them up and put them in this cage and everything. And I was like, that's fucking sick. I didn't even care what the fuck they were filming. I was just like, that's cool. You're just holding that pigeon and that pigeon's okay. I was this close to picking up a pigeon before. One day I'll do it. One day. I'm like, pigeons are cool. I hate that people sometimes call them like rats with wings or whatever. I'm like, should I talk down? I'm so confused with this mic. I got a new mic. If I don't know how much of me trying to figure out how to angle it is gonna be in this. I'm definitely gonna edit some of it out, probably. But I got a new mic, and I also got a mic arm, I guess, so it can be more hands free, especially when I'm streaming. Although I'm like looking at it now and I'm like, this is gonna be kind of rough to try to stream and game. Well, try to talk hands free and game, especially because I'm doing like my arrows and shit. But we'll we'll see about that. I'm playing. I try to stream twice a week. I might be streaming 3 times a week. I'm doing I'm playing a Tomy murder mystery called Who Murdered My Empress on Wednesdays. I missed this Wednesday though, just because I was tired. Tomorrow, Saturdays, I do Undertale, but I might switch that up. And I'm trying to figure out if I want to finish up. Hollow Knight because the new game came out on Sundays, or if I want to do easily Easy Delivery Co., which is a very cute game that I did the demo for that got a full release. And I'm like, I kind of want something cozy. I've been feeling cozy. And Undertale, I got to a point and I'm like, all right, I'm kind of bored with this. And I'm like, I thought, so I picked up streaming because I thought I wanted to use it to kind of hold myself accountable to gaming. Because I would get a game, play some of it, and then not finish it. And so I thought that playing it hourly, only an hour a week, would kind of slow down me being over the game. But no, that doesn't seem to be the case, which is fine. But I will figure it out. I will figure it out. But yeah, this mic is newer. I'm still messing around. Either way, so back to fear. I'm like, that really, yeah. So Margot takes Nicole to a dive bar and they kind of sneak in because they're not 21. And this is how she meets David and his friend, who I don't think I wrote down. Yeah, no, it's not picking. Oh, okay. It's actually a cafe, not a bar, but it gives kind of bar vibes because I think they do serve alcohol and there's like a pool table in there. Um, I haven't seen a cafe with a pool table, but Seattle different. Come here, buddy. Come here, baby. Come up here. Come on. You can get up my lap, buddy. Boy, come here. Oh my God. I will pick you up. Okay, there we go. Jesus. Like, you gotta be meowing like that and then not come up here. I'm like, when do I not end up talking about my cat wanting my attention on this podcast? I feel like it's every time. Almost every time. I should make a compilation of me telling my boy to get on my lap. Um, Logan is the name of the friend. Jesus. I was like, who the fuck? What is his name? Come on. Um, because the Wikipedia summary was not, it was just like, this is how she meets David, and someone else was in the scene with him because this is how Margot meets Logan. And it's like obvious that they kind of pair off. So Margot's with Logan, Nicole, and he takes her out on a date. And this is when you see him start to be kind of manipulative because um the dad's like, her curfew's at this time. And David's like, sure. But he changes the clock in the dad's office specifically. And I think he changes another clock to an hour behind. And I'm like, yeah, that would work then. But everyone has like a phone, like a clock on their phone and shit, and like digital watches. So you can't fool anybody in this way anymore. So yeah, he physically changes the hand on the clock and just to sort of uh be with her longer. And I'm like, you do, it's also never alluded to how old David is, but like Logan looks like he's at least 25. And I'm like, she's like 16, 17. Like, go away. Actually, I of course both paused and stopped recording, and then also ended up taking a few days to get back into recording the rest of this episode, but found out that Mark Wahlberg was actually 25 during this. And not only that, him and Reese Witherspoon were in a relationship during the making of this movie too. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of wild, actually. And she was 20. when during the making of this. So like, oh, there's like a 5-year age gap, and that's like based on the year this came out. So she was like 19 and he was 24, maybe, assuming they um filmed the movie the prior year. I'm like, that's usually how it is. You film it the prior year, and like there's the post production of like editing it and all that stuff. And then I went down a little rabbit hole and found out that she was married to the guy from Cruel Intentions, and I was like, holy shit. Her she married her love interest in a different movie. Cruel Intentions came out in 99. Fear came out in 96. She married his name is Ryan Felipe, and he played the main character, or yeah, the main character in that, which Cruel Intentions is really good. I'm not gonna watch the latest iteration of it because I hate the hair on that guy. But I do need to watch Dangerous Liaison with Glenn Close and I forgot his name, but that's essentially what Cruel Intentions was based off of anyway. But Dangerous Liaisons is more of a period drama, like it that's where the story comes from anyway. I don't know if I just repeated myself. It like stopped recording, of course. Because my computer is out of space and it hates me. No, I'm like, I just keep running into things that are causing me to not be able to do this podcast. But I am trying to make it happen, and I wanted to have this episode out on Friday, but now it's probably going to come out. I don't know. It's going to come out. And I might actually have 2 episodes come out this week, but do not hold me to that. But to get back into, because I'm like, I don't want to stray too far. I mean, I did bring up Glenn Close, um, but, and I wanted to bring up Fatal Attraction, because that also involves a character who becomes obsessively involved with another character, just like Fear does. But I'll come back to it. But yeah, essentially with Fear, um, Nicole's dad basically doesn't want her around David because he's just like, I don't like him. You're not respecting my rules that I set. Like, I don't like him. But of course, Nicole is just like, but I love him. Daddy, I love him. Uh, and what ends up happening is like they go on this date. He fingers her while they're on a roller coaster. And then eventually he sleeps with her. And then this is when he becomes way more obsessive and possessive of her because at some point, she's just like going to school with her friend Margot and her friend Toby. And no, my God, Toby is the name of the kid. And Gary. Gary's the name of the friend. Yeah, they're all walking together into school, and Gary gives Nicole a hug, but David sees this and he starts beating the shit out of Gary out of jealousy. And Nicole's like, stop, what the hell? Leave him alone. And then he ends up hitting her on accident. I mean, obviously you can say it was on accident, but it's like, you are abusive, even if not towards me, but towards other people. Gotta watch out. And she ends up getting a black eye. And for some reason, this situation brings her a little bit closer to her stepmom because her stepmom helps her with her makeup. And it was kind of fucked up earlier in the movie because her stepmom's like, you look like it was like either she said called her a slut or a whore based on like her makeup and her outfit. And it was just like, what the hell? That was uh, very like charged, uh, language to throw at your stepdaughter who you're not even really close to. Y'all don't have a good relationship. But I mean, even if that was like your natural born daughter, like what the fuck is that to say? You could easily just be like, I don't necessarily like what you're doing. Can we change it up? Like I want you to go out the house. Like not even don't even say like I want you to go out of the house looking good because that still is insulting her skill level in like makeup and dress. It's like, "Oh, maybe we need to spend time getting your skills better." Like think that and then make suggestions and then have it become more of a bonding moment rather than insulting her to her face and then not actually contributing to her bettering her skills, like what the fuck? It was just like hostile for no reason. Um like you're the adult here. Why would the fuck would you call your daughter a whore or a slut or whatever? Like that's just fucked up. Even more so because this is your stepdaughter and y'all have barely like known each other. It was just like weird. But then so later on we have this moment where she does help her with her makeup to cover up her getting hit. And she's doing the whole thing of like, oh, I ran into something, which is like an obvious lie that a lot of people who are dealing with domestic violence say to cover up for the person they love being violent towards them. And so, of course, the stepmom trying to be understanding of the situation helps her in this way, and they don't tell the dad. And I was like, okay, this is redeeming you a little bit because that earlier comment was just like terrible. And oh, okay, a big thing is that we it's like very hinted and very like show don't tell that the dad is an architect. Like like she Nicole definitely comes from some level of wealth because of the dad's like career, and the house is really nice. We see him in his office. He's always working and everything. So you can assume that he probably built the house. And I'm saying this because later on in the movie, it becomes way more relevant why the house is the way it is. So yeah, uh, David beats up Gary, and this is when Nicole breaks up with him for the first time. And then he, is apologetic and everything. I want to say David and Nicole's dad talk or whatever, and he's just like, stay away from my daughter, get away, and all this stuff. Very just like a vocal back and forth. And then we see this shot of David punching himself in the chest, or like he's more like pounding himself in the chest. And later on, we find out, and again, this is him manipulating everything. We find out that he tells Nicole that her dad beat him up. And this brings her into David's good graces and is having her side eyeing her dad because she's like, why the fuck would you assault my, you know, ex-boyfriend or whatever? So they get back together again, and uh, she is invited over to David's house, uh, and she doesn't necessarily want to go. And so, but later on, she changes her mind. She drives over to the house and she sees Margot there on top of Logan. And they're smoking. They're definitely, like, Margot's definitely high and on something. And I mean, it's not funny, but I was only laughing because I was trying to remember or I was trying to remember the plot because I watched the movie a little while ago. So I was reading the plot on Wikipedia and they said she was smoking from a crack pipe, but I distinctly remember I was looking at what she was holding and it looked like their idea of a pipe as if they weren't sure what that would actually look like. So it's funny for Wikipedia to be like, she's smoking crack. And I'm like, that's not what a crack pipe looks like. And not that I've smoked crack, but I've seen people smoke crack both on the street, just living in San Francisco. And yeah. So I'm like, I've seen people smoke crack. I know what it looks like. I know what a crack pipe looks like. So that's not what that was. But I digress. That was the only reason I was laughing because I'm like, oh, that's not what that is. It's like it's similar when people act like they've just smoked weed or something, but they're not acting like someone who is high on weed. It's almost like they're drunk. Also, the best performances of uh people being drunk is definitely when someone's trying not to act like they're drunk. It's really funny. It's just the whole idea of like someone drinking and they're like, "No, I'm totally fine. I'm totally sober." And it's like, "Yeah, that's exactly what someone who is drunk says and does." And it's like, "No, you are drunk." It's similar to what the critique of like The Good Doctor, I think. Is that what that's called? Was about to say The Good Son, mainly because I love that movie. I need to rewatch it. But yeah, I was thinking of The Good Doctor, where it's about this doctor who is autistic, and his portrayal isn't genuine because he's trying to act like someone autistic when someone who is actually autistic is trying to behave normally, which is why their behavior is off because they're not fully grasping what it is to be normal. And it's like, as like someone who's like a high masking person, it's like I've had to navigate on like, oh, what are these social cues? What are social cues really? What is expected of me in this situation and how should I behave when I come across this, and like sort of studying how people interact with each other through television and like sitcoms and stuff, and just like mentally preparing myself for um any situation really so that I can be able to just do the thing. But I'm also like, and again, that's like high functioning of just being able to navigate social interactions in that way. And I didn't mean high functioning, I meant high masking. And just like, yeah, being able to navigate through situations in that way and it not being awkward. But also doing that and having that be a mask as a way to like protect myself and not be, I don't know, treat it differently, I guess. And it was something that I picked up on. It wasn't like, oh, okay, I was trying to remember. There's like behavioral therapy that you can go through as an autistic person to essentially behave properly in society, quote unquote. And it's just like, you not being disruptive or whatever. And it's like, ugh, I was so tired of that because there were things like selective mutism that I would go through where there were moments in which I wasn't capable of speaking, but I would force myself to talk because talking, especially in group settings, is the expectation. And so I felt like I needed to push through those moments, but it was only something like I don't like because I didn't even think of myself as being like neurodivergent. I don't know why I said it like that. Neurodivergent or like autistic or anything like that until like, coming across people talking about their experiences, which is why it's so, so important to even just like vocalize what you're going through because then you run into other people who are like, oh, wow, I share the same experience. And so those were the things that were helping me be like, oh, maybe I am this. I just didn't know. I was just a highly masked person. And so when I realized that forcing myself to talk when there were moments when I felt incapable was essentially giving me burnout and why I would feel so exhausted, like mentally. I would feel mentally exhausted, which was making me physically exhausted, and then also just in general depressed. Um, I had to truly like lean into those moments and allow myself to be quiet. And it's gotten better. Like I've been less and less burnt out from that. And I'm like, I am a yapper when I feel like it. I'm not someone who is introverted or shy or anything like that. But because I am a quiet person, because of the tism and just being neurospicy, uh, n- quietness can be seen as shyness. And because other people were calling me shy, I was putting that on me. And it's like, no, I'm not shy. I'm actually pretty outgoing. I know how to make friends. Like, there's all these things, but it's like, I needed to realize that I was forcing myself to do and behave particular ways that were actually exhausting me and causing me to be burnt out way more than essentially was necessary. But I'm like, I'm strayed too far from the plot. I need to remember where I was. Oh, I was somehow. How did this started from me complaining about a crack pipe? Anyway, oh my gosh, I don't even. I literally don't know how I got to this point, but either way, coming back, Nicole sees Margot get dragged by David and presumably have sex when actually Margot ends up getting assaulted by David. And David, this is also crazy. David was able to get into that fucking high school without like anything, without a visitor pass. I don't think they had a metal detector or anything like that. He would just fucking show up, somehow know when it was her lunchtime, so he would show up in the cafeteria and be like, "Oh, hey Nicole, how you doing?" And it's like, you don't even fucking go here, bro. You're literally not in high school. Why are they letting you in?" Either way, so he had found her in the school or whatever and was like, "Hey, how are you doing?" And Nicole's just like, "Oh, no, get away from me. I'm breaking up with you." And he's like, "Why are you breaking up with me now? Like, what's going on?" And for some reason in his head, he's thinking it's Gary's fault. And then he goes, finds Gary and kills him. And this is the first killing that happens. And it was just like, what the fuck? He kills Gary. He vandalizes Nicole's dad's car because he thinks maybe it was Nicole's dad keeping them apart or whatever. And it's like, no, it's literally your own actions. Because, like, yeah, you're obsessed with Nicole and want to be super possessive with her, but you still went and fucked her friend? Huh? The behavior is not making sense. I mean, he's already not okay because he is literally, being possessive and super aggressive with like the men in her life and manipulating situations. But, I think the behavior would stop there. Not he would also still be fucking other people, particularly her friend, and seemingly kind of being flirtatious with her stepmom. It's like, this is weird behavior. Either way, Nicole's dad is upset about his car being vandalized and shit. So he's like, "Well, I'm gonna go to your house and fuck up your house, cause fuck you." And goes to David's room. David's room is like awful, god awful. He's like in a fucking twin bed. It's depressing in there. It's like not even a twin bed. It's like a cot. Like it almost feels like this man, maybe was in prison or something. And I'm like, okay. I still had The Good Doctor up on my phone because I was like, I couldn't remember what that show was. Also, it's interesting because The Good Doctor is technically like a recreation of a Korean show that I think also has the same name and it's also the same like premise. And they got the like Korean producers to be on it. And I'm like, that's pretty cool. I don't know if we'll get like sort of K dramas being remade in this way. The only thing I can think of outside of The Good Doctor being done in this way is It's like a train show or something. Ugh. Okay, I found it. I was gonna say Snowpiercer, but that's just more specifically uh directed by someone Korean. It wasn't originally Korean. They based it on a book essentially. I think is what happened. But I swear it was okay. I thought it was a movie and then they made a show. Let me see. Da-da-da-da. I hadn't seen the movie. Okay, yeah. So it was a film and then a show. But oh, the show has nothing to do with him. Bong Joon Ho, the guy who directed and created Parasite. Parasite's a good movie. I still need to see Mickey 17 because that was a movie he did that came out this year. And I'm like, I need to see it. I meant to see it in theaters, but things happen, like depression and the state of the world. But anyway, so David is crazy. To go back to it, Nicole's dad just gets to David's room, and he knows it's David's room because there's a shrine of Nicole and all of her things just in there, which is ugh. And oh, I'm trying to remember. There's okay. He destroys the shrine and just crashes David's room. I mean, the whole house gets trashed. But either way, I'm trying to remember when this scene happens, but it's like a scene that like sat with that has like lived with me since I saw this when I was younger. And he literally and I think I mainly think it lives with me because like I hadn't seen someone like essentially give themselves a tattoo before or like I didn't know about stick and pokes or anything like that because I mean I'm a child when I watch this or like at least 10 or 11 um maybe 12 I don't fully remember but it's a scene where David etches into his own skill into his own skin Nicole's name using just like a pen and I was like that's I don't like this. I don't like that. And the handwriting is bad. No. Not to critique his handwriting, but yeah. So that was and I was like, okay, so we already just saw him kill Gary and now he's etching her name into his skin. Oh, this man is not well. He's not well. And so this is when we kind of get to the climax of David pulling up to Nicole's house with Logan and two other friends. And right before this happens, Margot comes over to tell Nicole that Gary is dead. So Margot's there. Margot's there. The stepmom's there, the dad's there, Nicole's there, Toby, the little brother, is there, and the dog is there, and this is when we get the second killing, and that is the dog, unfortunately. And not to get too graphic, but uh, I'm like, ugh, this is definitely one of those where I was like, I need to make like pre warnings or something just to insert it. But I'm like, if you don't want to hear what happens to the dog, you can skip like a few minutes ahead. But essentially, the dog's head gets cut off. And I'm like, and then his head is placed through the doggy door to freak out the family. And this is when we get the oh, this dad was an architecture and designed the house because he has these like steel um things come down or he tries to, but fucking Nicole had told David the code to deactivate everything. So the dad had to like try to manually do this. They also have like a on-site guard, but he's like down a cliff and it's like, where the hell did you build this house, man? On the side of a cliff, apparently. which was just like, oh God, Jesus. And so there's a whole thing of like David and his crew taunting the family from outside the house, and, you know, Toby hiding, Nicole and Margot hiding, the parents trying to be the adults that they are, trying to, defend all the kids and everything. The stepmom ends up drilling through the hand of one of the guys, and him and another person drive off, try to drive off and get him to the hospital because, yeah, that's just fucked. And so then it's just David and I forget which one. I think it's David and Logan potentially. I think no, it is David and Logan. David and Logan are still left, and while that's happening, Nicole uses like a flashlight to send a SOS to the security guard because he tries to use like the intercom and talk to them and realizes that everything is like dead. So he runs up to the house with his gun, but then he gets confronted and the gun is taken from him and he's shot and killed essentially. So I'm like, there goes a third death. And now they have a fucking gun. And it's just like, God damn it. Okay, so apparently there were like five guys. I thought there was just four. But I'm remembering the four that were left over after the two dudes go to the hospital, essentially. And so what happens is Nicole sends the SOS, the guard dies or whatever. Toby's able to sneak out and get to the stepmom's car in the garage and uses her car phone to call 911. But then one of the dudes sees that he's in there, and then Toby gets a kill and runs this guy over with the car. And it's just like, oh, okay. And I mean, good for Toby. I mean, he's going to need therapy after that, especially seeing his dog decapitated. But he got revenge for that shit, and I love that. And we skip back to, um, because at this point they were able to get into the house and they got the dad tied up. They got the stepmom, I believe, tied up. Logan tries to force himself on Nicole, and then David shows up, and David gets in another kill and kills Logan because he's like, what the fuck, man? And then the dad was able to like escape from his restraints thanks to the stepmom, I believe. And then like while this is happening, David is threatening Nicole and saying like he's gonna kill the dad. Assume like for some reason he thinks that killing her dad because the dad is the reason they're not together and what's keeping them apart. He's gonna kill him so that she can, welcome him into her life again. And it's like, I don't know how you got there, but that's not why she doesn't want to be with you. And killing her dad is gonna make her not want to be with you even more, actually. And so her dad is able to confront him and they kind of get into a tussle. Tussle is kind of a funny word. A little tussling, little wrestling. Oh, it was Toby that freed. Toby kind of came in for the win. I had to like reread this. But yeah, Toby was the one that actually snuck back into the house, freed his parents. That's when the dad charges at David. And of course, David is like, I'm more strong than you. And is basically about to kill the dad in front of Nicole's face. But haha, he's not paying attention to Nicole, and Nicole's able to stab him. I'm like, oh, thank God. Like, just stab him. And he was like, what do you mean? You should love me. And he's so in shock and hurt that Nicole would ever harm him. And while he's like upset and tries to like attack Nicole because he somehow gets this supercharge of I'm evil in this and therefore I am gonna be not affected by being stabbed in the back. Nicole's dad comes out of nowhere and like tackles him, and he gets sent out of Nicole's bedroom window, and because his house is on a cliff apparently, he falls to his death. And whew, the movie ends there with the family like hugging, and the sirens are coming, like the police and paramedics are coming. There's like one little droplet of blood coming from not Nicole, David's mouth, you know, to confirm to the audience that he's dead. It's like, I don't know, y'all kind of made him a little overpowered, but I think adrenaline can make you not feel pain for a bit, so he didn't feel nothing. And yeah, that was kind of the end of the movie. I think I wanted to talk about Obsessed as well because that's like another, aside from Fatal Attraction, that was like another movie of like a character being obsessive with someone. But honestly, Obsessed is a little different because he was never actually involved with her. And she had just in her mind created this relationship. And that's what makes Obsessed even further removed from like Fatal Attraction, because both in Fatal Attraction and Fear, the people do get involved with each other. Like, and in Fatal Attraction, he is cheating with his wife with Glenn Close, on his wife with Glenn Close. And then Glenn Close, in her mind, um, sort of escalates the relationship and creates or believes that there's more meaning behind the relationship than there actually was. And yeah, it just takes it too far in her thinking and it gets out of hand. I forever ago did a watch with me where I reacted to the movie, and that's just on my YouTube, which is V Noir. I'm like, I think there's some numbers behind that, so it might be hard to find me. But if you, maybe I'll change it. I'll see if I can change it. But either way, I'm gonna end it there. This movie is wild. It's also crazy that they were dating at the time as well. And it's like, oh, and he's playing this overly obsessive character who is abusive. Hopefully he wasn't like that in real life. I mean, yes. Well, because at this point he's 25, but like when he was 17, there's that whole thing of him apparently being on a lot of drugs and assaulting people, um, which was something that I was still upset with him about, but I'm like, but looking at the timing and everything, and he was affected by drug use, and he's also 54, and he's also like apologized to his victim and I think gave him some level of compensation. It's like, do I really need to hold this thing that happened to someone who's now 54, a thing that he did when he was 17 on drugs, like like as if he wouldn't have grown from that experience. He's not, as if he's not sober, as if he hasn't apologized to this person, you know? So like if his victim is okay, I should be okay too, and like I should expect people to grow and change their behavior. But either way, um thanks for listening. You can go to the archive at NWWITA it is on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and just wherever you listen to podcasts. And I will see you all next week, hopefully. Bye. I might have 2 episodes this week, but we'll see. Bye for real.